next, pleading with the public to do their part.
We can all be heroes just by doing one little thing, and that's just wearing a mask.
Masks, still a point of contention for some, like restaurant owner Barry County, who may close his doors if forced to mask up in Kansas.
Every individual with liberty should do that on many counts. And so they have that choice.
But for some, there was no choice, only loss, like Eliama John, a nurse for 38 years who put off retirement to continue working through the pandemic, only to lose her own battle with the virus.
We're going to light a candle. I think that she would have sat. I truly hope that everyone hears the message. It's really a plea. Wear a mask. Don't travel.
The White House Coronavirus Task Force is also revealing more about their plans for vaccine distribution, saying they have the infrastructure in place to be able to deliver a vaccine to the entire United States within 24 hours of authorization. The first shots could be going out by late December. Diane?
All right, Whit Johnson, thanks for that. And despite that warning from the CDC, millions of Americans are still expected to travel for Thanksgiving, whether it's in the air or on the road. Gio Benitez has the travel forecast for us. Good morning, Gio.
Hey there, Diane. Even before the CDC's guidance not to travel next week, AAA was already expecting fewer travelers on the road than last year. Take a look at this, because they were expecting about 48 million on the road. That is down from 55 million. Now this morning, AAA is changing tune, telling us that number may be
como manzana.
lower after
Yo.
the CDC's warning. AAA anticipates at least a 10% drop in travel. That is the largest one-year decrease since the Great Recession in 2008. Now, major airlines were also already seeing a spike in cancellations from people who had purchased those holiday flights. They, too, are now anticipating more cancellations. Let's look at the numbers. Last year, over the whole 11-day Thanksgiving travel period, TSA screened more than 26 million people. This year, they expect it to be much lower, with the busiest day topping out at about 1 million passengers. That is far less than the busiest day last year, nearly 3 million passengers. Now, what if you bought a ticket and it wasn't refundable? No problem. You actually still can cancel that flight, because airlines, the major airlines, have actually waived those change fees. So you can go ahead and cancel that ticket, and you can get a credit for a future flight, and you don't have a deadline. You can do that at any time, even on the same day as your scheduled flight. Diane?
All right, Gio Benitez for us in New York City. Thanks, Gio. And joining me now for more on all of this, infectious disease specialist Dr. Todd Ellerin is here. Good morning, Dr. Ellerin. I want to start with this new emergency guidance from the CDC urging people not to travel Thanksgiving or share the holiday outside their household. Was this warning inevitably going to be issued around the holiday, or is this a sign of new concern?
Well, good morning, Diane. I think this is sage advice, really. I mean, look, we're seeing more cases than we've ever seen before. The death is rising. Very soon, we're going to be happy with wanting to get back to 2,000 deaths a day. And what I mean by that is we are going to surge past that. And it's inevitable, because remember, it's the cases from 3 weeks ago that show up as deaths today. So we're just going in the wrong direction. I think the CDC is basically saying we have to limit our mobility. You said two things. You talked about travel and gathering. Obviously, if you're going to gather people from outside your home, try to keep it outdoors as much as possible. If you're indoors, open those windows. When you're traveling by car, perhaps, open those windows as well. Keep the masks on, physical distance. Don't have everyone around one table. Space the tables out more than 6 feet. But the best advice is to keep the bubble small.
And you partially answered this already in that answer, but how do you balance all of this with pandemic fatigue, but more importantly, with that basic need for human contact? Loneliness has consequences too.
It really does, and I can tell you personally, I'm really feeling it. Not just pandemic fatigue, but there's pandemic resentment. I think many Americans and people around the world are really feeling that. A few ways to really combat pandemic fatigue is, number one, be hopeful. Okay, vaccines are coming. These aren't just good vaccines. These vaccines look great. This will likely be the way to end this pandemic. So it's in sight. I know it's not just around the corner for most Americans, but we will be seeing most Americans will be able to by 2021. The other thing is we have to think about self-care, okay? And lastly, kind of seek diversions that are soothing and healing. I think these are ways, and also we want to sort of, minimize social media and things like that can get us more anxious about the pandemic. These are the things that really accelerate pandemic fatigue and ways to sort of combat that.
Now, you brought up the vaccine, so let's go there. Pfizer says they're filing for emergency use authorization today. They expect the first patients could receive this before the end of the year. What does the timeline look like on this right now?
I can't tell you how excited I am about this. So, the FDA is supposed to meet around December 8th to December 10th. Let's assume that it's going to be a yes, because we know the efficacy is high, and we haven't heard any safety issues, so the safety should be excellent. So you can imagine the distribution we've heard is going to happen immediately.